What is up, guys? Today we're going to be breaking down the top 6 decks from last week's tournament. And really quick before this video starts, I just want to thank you guys so much for building this awesome community that we're building right now. Let's go ahead and hop into the breakdown. So on our top 6 we have 1 Gogeta Xeno, 1 Green Gotenks, 1 Starter Brawly, 1 Hatchiyack, 1 Invoker, and 1 Red Brawly. Not really a big deal to see Red Brawly and Invoker in the top cut. They're usually up there. Green Gotenks we haven't seen in a top cut in a while, so it's pretty interesting to see him here, and then all the other decks are pretty much rogue. Let's go ahead and hop into our number 6 deck. So number 6 we have Gogeta Xeno, played by my boy Sam, and this was his first time playing the deck in a tournament, so he was still trying to figure out his game plan and stuff, but I think he did pretty well. His strategy was to just fuel the warp to use for fusion and for his unison and finisher. He ran Gogeta Fearless Fusion and Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta Marvelous Might, and he did use Fusion quite a bit, so that was really good. And the unison for this deck, Mirror Dimensional Superpower, was actually like a very good choice for this deck because he fuels his warp so much, and it's -2 ability, it gets plus 5k for every card in the warp, and same thing with Mirror Creator Absorb, it gets plus 5k with every card in the warp, which is really broken. So yeah, not a bad deck at all. If he practices with it a little bit more, I think he could place a little bit higher. Also, Son Goku True Fighting Spirit is a very good card. Every time your opponent uses any counter ability once per turn, they have to choose one card in their hand and send it to the warp, which is a really good ability, especially against more defensive decks, and definitely showed. But let's go ahead and hop into our number 5 deck. So number 5 we have Green Gotenks, and this deck has such a smooth engine. You're basically guaranteed to awaken on turn 2 by playing your unison. So he actually played Super Saiyan Gotenks Friendship Fusion and the Grim Reaper of Justice. Then he usually fused with Trunks Bonds of Friendship and Son Goten and Trunks. When you drop Trunks by using a union ability, he looks at the top 7 cards of your deck for a green unison with a specified cost of 2. So that's really good for getting more Vegetos, because you want more Vegetos to stack on top of each other to try and get to -7. His -7 ability lets you look at your opponent's life, choose one card from that, and put it in their drop area. Then they have to drop 3 cards from their hand. So that's a really broken ability, and honestly, it wins games a lot of the time. Son Gohan Potential Unlocked is a really good card because if you have a green unison with a specified cost of 2, you can play it from your hand for free, and it's basically a revenge blocker because of your unison's ability. Finally, Boo Boo Volleyball, a really good card. It helps you get back your Trunks and Gotens from the drop area if you drop a card, so it's a very good card too. Use that a lot. So at the number 4 spot we have Starter Brawly. So this deck used to be really popular back in the day, but it's kind of been tossed out of the meta completely. But basically what you do with this deck is you just KO your own cards to play better cards. So you can search out your 1-drop Brawly from your leader's ability, and when you play him you can take 2 life, so you can awaken really quickly. And then KOing your cards isn't really that hard to do because your leader does it, and you have a lot of extra cards and battle cards that also help you to KO your own cards. And if he doesn't kill you turn 2, he plays Tragic Awakening probably. He's gonna play another 6-drop out, and it's really powerful. Double Strike, 25k. But shout out to Aspen for playing this deck. This deck is definitely old school, and it's cool to see him still playing in the new meta. So in 3rd place we have Hatchiyack. So big shout out to actually my brother who played this deck. This is such a rogue deck, and he's been practicing with it for a while. He's gotten closer and closer to the top 3, and he finally made it. So congrats to him for making 3rd place. And he runs the Catapesla engine, and it's actually getting some support from the Battle Evolution booster. So that's pretty exciting. He's really excited about that. Hopefully he can implement it into this deck. But Catapesla 1-drop, you play it, look at top 7 for another Catapesla basically, and you evolve all the way up into your 6-drop, which is a critical double strike, dual attack, and barrier, which is really good. It's a really good finisher, and usually he can get it out on about, I would say, turn 3 or 4, which is getting to turn 3 or 4 is really not hard with this deck because of your leader's ability. Basically, your opponent only gets up to 3 swings, 1 with their leader, 1 with a battle card, and 1 with a unison. That really helps you control the game. So he played Lord Slug Ghost Warrior is a really good card in this deck. So you can play Lord Slug for free by sending cards from your drop area to your warp. And then when you place it in your owner's drop area, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost greater or equal to your opponent's energy and warp it, which is really good because a lot of big cards like finishers don't usually have barrier, I would say. Also, instant transmission 10 times Kamehameha is a really good negate because you get to put cards back from your warp into your drop area so you can play out more slugs and stuff like that. He ran 2 different unisons. So Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is pretty good. When you use Overwhelm, you can awaken pretty quickly, which is good, and you use Overwhelm quite a bit in this deck. And then his -5 ability is really good too, because you can win the game with that for sure by warping one of your opponent's life. And then Gohan's more of a attacker unison, I would say, because his -3 ability is you can add cards from your warp to your hand, and it becomes a 20k dual attack. Also, it's good with Overwhelm because every time you activate Overwhelm, you add a marker to it. Yeah, but overall, very solid deck and very solid player. Second place, we have Invoker. Shout out to my man Corbin Cutter out here. This deck is straight up annoying. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. It is so hard to do anything against this deck. You just got to beat him before turn 3, basically. It's really hard to stay alive after that point. So, Tournament of Power Arena, he can negate the energy exhaust of red, blue, multicolor cards in all areas. And he gets to look at top 3, which is a really good ability for trying to get extra cards that you want into your hand. Beerus Super Combo untaps multicolor energy, which is really good on your opponent's turn. So you can keep shooting out those extra cards. Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta Inspired Technique definitely runs the deck. Barrier Deflect, so it's really hard to get rid of. And it has the Invoker ability, which you can pay 1 energy to play a red-blue multicolor extra card. Also, his leader has a really good ability when you can choose 1 extra card in your hand and place it in the drop area. Then you can choose up to 1 in your life and add it to your hand. Draw 1 card, and this card gets plus 5k for the battle. So he can self-awaken and play defensive really well. Against me, I would say he arrivaled Hercule Majin Buu 3 times, I would say. It's a really good card because when you play it, you draw 1 card. Then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets negative 10k. So another dangerous combo here is Son Goku Rival Seeker. It's a 3-drop, but on turn 5, you can play the 6-drop on top of it. The 6-drop has Invoker. Once per turn, when one of your cards deals damage to your opponent, deal 1 additional damage to your opponent. So basically, you play Rival Seeker, play Energy Explosion on top of that, and then Catastrophic Blow to death. That is 100% his game plan. That's his goal with the deck every game. Royal Condemnation is a really good counterplay. Anything 8 or less is placed under the opponent's deck, which is for 1 energy. That is huge. Emperor's Death Beam also for 1 energy. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and it gets negative 30k. And you can do that during the battle. So if your opponent swings, you could just kill it even after they combo, which is super annoying. And then Sleepy Boy is another popular one he played. Negate the attack, draw 2, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards and return it to his owner's hand, which is a really, really good ability as well. So Surge Goku has 2 abilities here. He really used the one where he gets extra cards back into his hand from his drop area. He mainly did that, and then I would say one time he drew a card and looked at my hand, which is a really powerful ability. But this deck is really powerful. Do not mess with it at all. It is really OP. And in first place, we have myself playing Red Broly. So you can add 1 red extra card with energy cost of 1 to your hand. Negate the skill for the duration of the game. Definitely get out Planet Vampa. Play it. Planet Vampa is a really good card. You can take a card from your life, look at top 7, and you can play a Ba, Paragus, Broly, or Golemite with energy costs 5k or less. Sometimes I would play Broly, or sometimes I'll play Ba. Sometimes I already had the 1-drop in my hand, and I just wanted to play Ba to search out, the rest of the pieces I needed for the chain. But if I didn't have the 1-drop Broly, I would definitely play that. So the 1-drop Broly, he swapped 3 for free, and if you have a red Ba BR in play, he gets 11,000 power bonus. And you can only play 1 of him per turn, which is a pretty interesting ability. But if you have Ba in there, he's a 15k attacker. Then you swap for free into the 3-drop, and when you play the 3-drop, if you have a Paragus in your hand, you can play him from your hand for free, but he does have unique, so you cannot play 2 out. When you play Paragus, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you can choose up to 1 red Broly BR or 1 red Unison with a specified cost of 1 among them, and add them to your hand, which is a really good ability. This deck searches out a lot. The 3-drop Broly has Servant, so he's a 19k attacker. Then you swap for 1 into the 4-drop, which also has Servant, so he's a 20k. At this point, you definitely want to play your Unison. All the battle cards being played from now on really buff up your Unison. So when you play the 4-drop, you choose 1 of your red Unison cards, add a marker to it, then your opponent warps 1 card from their hand, and at the end of their turn, they get it back. So they can't really do anything with that card. It's absolutely a dead card for their turn. Then you swap for 1 into the 5-drop, which has a critical 30k. Same ability with warping a card and adding a marker to your Unison, which is really good. Then if your opponent has 3 more energy or you have 4 more energy, you can swap into the 6-drop, which is a critical double strike. And this guy is a beast. When you get this guy out, you typically win the game right there. You add 2 markers to your Unison, and then you choose up to 3 cards in your opponent's hand and warp them, and they get it back at the end of their turn. So that's a lot of hand ripping, and the fact that it's a double strike critical is really good too. Let's talk about our Unison here. So when your opponent takes damage, you add a marker to them. +1, you neg 5k one of their battle cards, and -6, choose up to 2 mono red battle cards with different card names, energy cost 3 or less, and 19k power or less from your deck or hand, and play them. I would usually play 3-drop Broly and Fearless Pan. Definitely Fearless Pan. The other one doesn't matter as much. But Fearless Pan, basically, when you play her, all your cards gain +5k in double strike, and you got all these crits on the board. So it's a huge play. You also win the game with that, for sure. So when one of your red Broly cards is removed from the battle area by an opponent's skill or KO'd, you can play a 4-drop from your hand for free. And also your leader card is a 20k crit, which is huge. A lot of crit, a lot of hand destruction. This deck is definitely super powerful. I will probably be releasing a deck profile on this deck. I guess we'll probably do that with every first place deck that wins our tournaments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and again, thank you guys for helping grow this awesome community. I can't wait to see it grow even more, and I'll see you guys in our next video. Peace out.